Welcome to Threads of Sustainability, where you get to hear the passionate, informative, and engaging conversations of creatives, makers, manufacturers, and producers from all over the globe. We explore what sustainability can look like in the quilting, fiber, and textile world, and I'm your host, Bridget O'Flaherty, also known as the Sustainable Quilter. This week's episode is one that I'm really excited to share with you. I talk with TeDi Jansen from Small Acre Farms and Timber and Twine. And one of the reasons I really like talking to her is because she's kind of like the boots on the ground. She is doing all the things fiber. She is raising the sheep, the goats, she sources the materials from raw materials. She's doing the spinning. She's doing all the stuff. She's doing the dyeing as well. She's growing the plants that are doing her botanical dyes. She's growing cotton. She's experimenting with all this really cool fiber stuff. And she is helping other people on that journey as well. She helps them with dyeing and with weaving and spinning and knitting and doing all kinds of very cool things with fibers. And I just really, really enjoyed getting into some of the backstories behind all of that for her. And I hope you really enjoy this conversation as well. I think that she is, and along with a lot of other farmers that are out there, these small farmers, they are such an important part of sustainability. I kind of feel like we need to move away from the big commercialized things and move to localized products that are specialized. And we are going to get better value for our money. We are going to be kinder to the planet and the environment that those materials are grown on and grown in, and the care for the animals is different. I just think it's a really important part of sustainability from the perspective of getting back to our agricultural connections. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this chat. I want to welcome you to Threads of Sustainability. I'm TeDi Jansen, and tell me the name of your business.
My business, it has two names.
Okay. Okay.
Small Acre Farm is the registered business. It is our farm. And then Timber and Twine is really the brand name of the fiber things.
I found you on Instagram because you're doing some really cool stuff, and I follow you there. And I was really excited by all the fiber shed stuff that you're doing. And we're going to get into fiber sheds as well a little bit. So First of all, tell me a bit about the farm. Tell me about Small Acre Farms.
Yep. So we live in northern Colorado, just north of Fort Collins.
Okay.
We have 10 long, narrow acres of land.
Okay.
Probably about, more than half of it is, I use pasture in the general sense of the term. It's not sustainable for the animals, and they graze a little bit, but we feed hay.
Okay.
And then we live in a barn. So the top part of the barn is about 1,200 square feet of house.
Nice.
And then the bottom, which is, like a barn, wider on the bottom than the top. One side has 4 big horse stalls.
Okay.
That we use and rotate animals through when they're giving birth or hurt or things like that. And then the other side was a 3-car drive-through garage, which is now a master bedroom, bathroom, and it was going to be an extra living space, but I said, let's just call it the fiber room. And so it is.
So you have your fiber processing room there.
I do, yeah. And it's mostly not spread all over the house anymore.
Well, that's good.
Right.
Although I'm sure there's probably still bits of you everywhere.
A little bit.
Yeah. So tell me then a bit about what creatures you do have. You're just saying that you changed since we talked earlier. We talked in the spring, I think it was.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about what happened with the transitions, why, what animals do you like to have on your property?
I love small ruminants. So we have goats and we had sheep, and we had sheep for about 10 years.
Okay.
And then a year ago in August, I decided that I wanted some Angora goats, and I got four little fiber wethers. And
what does that mean? What does that mean?
A wether is a fixed boy.
Okay.
So a castrated boy.
Okay.
and they wethers generally put all their energy into growing fiber. You know,
Okay.
they don't go into heat. They don't have, you know, they don't give birth. So
They're not interested in the reproduction side of things.
right, and they're, you know, less muss and fuss. So I got these four wethers, and they're wonderful, and I love them. And it was kind of a test run to see if I really liked the goats. The sheep didn't change, but I changed and got older.
Okay.
And they have just become too big for me to manage.
Okay. Okay.
And our son was moving off, so the guy who, you know, catches things and picks up things doesn't live here in the state anymore.
Right. So you have now, what do you have?
So the sheep, I sold the sheep this summer. I had 6 and I sold them, and I still have lots of fleece. So I'm still working through the fleece. And then I acquired 4 more Angoras. There was a ranch in Texas that was doing a little bit of a disbursement of their herd, and I picked up 3 beautiful does and a buck.
Nice.
And we're just getting ready. They've been here for a while, but they're really just settling in. And so we're getting ready to breed them for spring kids. So I'll have curly babies in the spring.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. And then we have dairy goats. We also have Nigerian dwarf goats. So we have dairy goats as well.
Okay. So, but your primary interest is really around the fibers that you can get.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what do you do with the fibers?
Little bit of everything. So, I will sell the fiber at every step along the process. So I sell it raw, like right off the animal. Somebody wants to process their own fleece. I sell washed fiber, so washed locks and things like that. I am a botanical dyer, so I dye fiber and I sell it dyed. And then I also make spinning bats, and I am a spinner, so I do yarn.
Okay, so you do all of it. You do the whole
I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so tell me a little bit about the botanical dyeing that you're doing. Do you have botanicals on your property that you harvest?
I do. I had a fantastic dye garden this summer. It was the first really kind of comprehensive dye garden for me. I dabbled a little bit. Yeah. And so this year I had indigo, sulfur, cosmos, black night scabiosa, and
I don't know what some of these are, but it sounds amazing.
and Hopi black dye sunflower.
Okay.
So indigo, when people think of indigo, it's a pretty involved process with a vat and a whole other. But you can dye with it fresh.
You can do it straight from the leaves, right? Like just crushing the leaves, you can dye.
So I blended up in the blender.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. And I had a pretty good sized bed. I got through many classes. I did a bunch of dyeing on my own. I did some silk. I don't dye fiber or fabric very often, but I did some silk scarf dyeing this summer that was really fun.
And so I want to ask a little bit more about the indigo, because I've only ever gotten the powder. So I don't have experience with the plant itself. And where we live, it's a little hard. It's a little tougher to grow indigo around here. It's not impossible, but I'm quite a bit further north than you are. So we have a pretty short growing season, I think, for indigo. So it's not as awesome. So I don't have experience with the plant itself, but so do you harvest just the leaves? Do you wait for the flowers? Do you do the stalks? Do you do the roots? Like what part of the indigo is your dye?
The leaf is what you're looking for.
Okay.
And it's pretty, I was surprised. I think of us as having a fairly short growing season too.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I seed mine about 6 weeks before I move it outside.
Okay.
And I have my beds are about 4 by 4. And I plant it, and it lays on its side and it looks really sad for several days. And then it perks up a little bit, and then it looks a little better. And then it just takes off and it fills that bed. And wherever it dips down and touches the ground, it puts down roots and it makes another. So it's,
and is that a perennial then, or is that something you have?
Not here.
Okay.
It can in places in the world it is, but here it's not. One hard frost and it's done for.
Okay. So you replant it every year.
Right. But
Okay.
it's really resilient. So I'll cut, the top, maybe it'll be 18 inches tall.
Okay.
And I'll cut off the top 6 to 8 inches. And in 2 to 3 weeks, it has grown back up. It's more full and beautiful. And I
Amazing.
have another. And so often what I did was I would cut about a quarter of it that much. And that would, and then that was enough for dyeing for me. It really doesn't take very much. I fill a little blender and blend it up. And that was good for several scarves. Or
Okay.
I think I did um, when I did the classes, I cut 10 stalks for each student and they stripped them off. And it was
enough.
we did, yeah. And so we did scarves, and then we also pounded.
Oh, cool.
I had some cotton scarves, bandanas, and we did some pounding as well.
Amazing. Yeah,
I need to practice with the technique on that, but it was really fun to
you're
try.
totally inspiring me. I'm thinking, oh, maybe this year, instead of starting vegetables, I'll be maybe starting some indigo this year.
I think that you would be surprised. It
Okay.
grows pretty quickly, and when you know that it's going to frost, dig it out, put it in a bucket, bring it in size, and it'll be happy for another 2 months.
Okay. And do animals like to eat it?
I haven't found that I had any pests
Okay.
that bothered it.
Yeah, because we have a deer that love to eat just about everything I plant.
We don't have deer.
Okay.
So I don't know the answer to that. But
okay.
When I had the sheep get out last year and I had it, they didn't eat it.
Okay. Well, that's probably a good sign. That's a probably good sign.
Yeah. And I brought mine in, even though I was really done dyeing, I brought 2 big, pots of it in, because it hadn't seeded yet.
Okay.
And I forced mine, when I brought it in the warm house, to put on flower, and it's just about ready. I'm about ready to collect the seeds now.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. That's exciting. Yeah. That's really exciting. Yeah. You got my mind spinning for that one.
It's fun.
Tell me a little bit about some of the other plants that you have in your dye garden.
Sulfur cosmos. So, the cosmos that you think of, those kind of leggy flowers.
Yeah.
And the color of the plant is a pretty bright orange, and it was, almost an atomic orange on the silk. It was really deep, gorgeous, vibrant.
And it dyes that color?
It does. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then I over dyed some with indigo.
Nice.
And it was, I twisted the scarf, so not all of it dyed, it was kind of like shibori.
Yeah.
And I wasn't thrilled with the color when I, first unraveled it, but it kind of bloomed into this olive.
Neat.
The over dye was kind of an olive color.
Nice.
So
nice.
It turned out it was, so fun to experiment with that one.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a mystery of what you're going to get, right?
It totally is. And when you are using fresh dye plants, that color can change across the growing season of the plant.
Right.
I have rabbit brush in my pasture, and depending upon when I pick that, depends kind of on the intensity of the yellow that I get from it. And sometimes it's a little more green. So, that's kind of adventure too.
Yeah. No kidding. And do you dye your wool?
I do.
You do? Yep. Okay. And do you dye that before you've spun it or after you spin it?
I am much more likely to dye it beforehand.
Okay.
And then partly because botanical dyeing is kind of hard on fiber.
Yeah.
It's not like acid dye where you lay it out in the chafing dish, and kind of don't fuss with it. It has to be immersed. It's in a pot.
Right.
I'm going to stir it up. And so I would rather, if it's going to, caught or felt up a little bit, I want that to happen beforehand so that I can card that out.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. Like doing dyeing is usually heating, and so wool and fibers.
And a little agitation. Yeah.
And they tend to felt up. I haven't been very good at that myself. I tended to get things to felt, and then I didn't know what to do with it after that. Yeah.
I'm
Um,
kind of rough on my fibers, but I also know that I'm going to card them afterwards. Even when I use commercial fiber, I'm generally carding it afterwards.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what else? You've got madder, right?
I do. I just harvested just a few days ago. So madder is a long game. It takes
Yeah.
at least 3 years. So
Right.
this was my third year. You're looking, and it's the roots.
The roots. Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
I just read something today that you can dye with the top part
Oh,
and the
oh,
seeds
cool.
and get a light pink. I haven't tried, but I am going to collect some. Well, we've got snow today, but I may
Yeah.
still go out and gather up a little bit. So you're looking for the roots. Ideally, they're about the thickness of a pencil.
Okay.
Mine weren't quite that thick. And in that 4-foot bed, I planted a third. And then the next year I planted another third. And last year I planted the third one.
Okay.
And this year I dug up about half of that first third.
Okay. And so is that then, I guess it's perennial as well. So that
Yes.
so
And
that
yeah,
will keep reproducing for you.
and it could be very invasive. The vines take over the bed and out into the path.
Okay. Okay. So you have to be careful
Um,
with that part.
yeah, I belong to a national or international dye group, and I had asked, can I cut it off during the growing season? And then they said, no, just train it up. So next year I'm going to put some some kind of structure around the bed so that will go up.
Okay.
Because what you really want is, as above, so below. So,
Right. You want that.
health on the top so that you've got health on the bottom. And I probably got about, maybe a pound.
Okay. And are you growing dye stuffs to be able to sell as well through your stores?
I haven't got that far yet, but I'm
Okay.
so excited about what happened this summer. I am.
Okay.
The Hopi black dye sunflowers were so much fun, and it is a fugitive dye, so it doesn't, the color doesn't last forever, but it's this beautiful purple like logwood.
Nice.
I'm going to plant a big row of sunflowers.
Nice.
I'd love to have another, bed of madder since it takes so long,
Right.
and to branch out into some other flowers as well. Yes.
Nice. Nice. And then you do the goldenrod as well. We've got lots of goldenrod around here.
I have had a hard time finding it. I've had a hard time finding the seeds. I planted it the very first several years ago. And since then, and it grows, people have it here in the, in their pastures.
Yeah, it grows wild here, rampantly wild.
Yeah. Well, collect some seeds, send them my way.
I will next year. Right now it's all done for the winter, but, so the other thing I guess I wanted to ask you about, we talked about silk and silk cocoons. Tell me your stories behind that.
I do use silk. I use what's called piece silk,
what's
means
piece silk?
Or Erie, ERI. That means that the moth gets to exit the cocoon rather than being gassed or boiled or whatever happens.
Okay.
So it's allowed to leave the cocoon. What happens then is that it, when it leaves the cocoon, it creates a hole in the cocoon.
Okay.
So, so that fiber wasn't as valuable because it's not a continuous strand.
Right. Okay. So when it would stay enclosed, the whole silk was one single strand.
Right. And it's real.
Oh, okay. I want to take a minute here to thank you for listening to the Threads of Sustainability podcast. I've really loved all of the interviews that I've done already and looking forward to doing so much more. If you're enjoying what you're hearing and you want to support the podcast, you can do that on my website at bridgetoflaherty.com, and you can buy me a cup of tea. I don't drink coffee, so I'd love a cuppa, and you can pay what you want. You can also follow, like, share the podcast episodes with a friend. I love getting your support and I love getting your feedback. Don't forget to send me an email and tell me what you think. So when we left off there, we were talking with TeDi about silks, and she gets into a little bit more about the history of silks. And I know that silks are a bit of a controversial topic for some people. There's a lot of concern about the welfare and well-being of the silkworms, and there's a lot of history behind the what's happened to the genetics behind the silkworms now. I don't know where I stand on it necessarily. I feel like I need more research and I need more understanding, but it's been really great to get TeDi's perspective on this.
I can give you my backstory.
Oh, you know of it? Sure. That's fine. I'm sure there's more to learn.
There's lots to learn. I think that, there is a thriving silk industry in China and Japan.
Yeah.
And I think part of that has to do with the mulberry leaves, that it's, that those plants grow there.
It's the primary food for the silkworm.
Right.
Yeah.
Mulberry. And there's something else. So I source my cocoons from India.
Okay.
From a tiny little company that I just kind of happened upon when I started Timber and Twine. I was looking for cotton things and silk things and was not having a lot of luck finding those organic fibers here in the US.
Okay.
And so I kind of stumbled upon this little company, and there's a large tech company that it's attached to, and then that tech company does help support little businesses kind of in the area that it's in, as I understand it.
Okay.
And so they were helping kind of bring back that silk growing it's not big enough to be an industry.
Right. But on a small scale.
Right. Particularly the women in those surrounding villages to grow the silk. And so I discovered them. I ordered some cocoons, and they have already heated them. There's kind of a gummy thing called, I think it's called sericin, that's on the outside of the cocoon. So they've washed that off and pounded them.
Okay.
So they're ready for me to soak and mordant and dye.
Okay.
So they're ready for that. But the company was kind of just starting out, and I would spend late night Zoom calls teaching them how to spin and ply. And it was just really fun to be a part of the beginnings of that.
Neat. And so when you get it, it's already spun.
No. I do purchase a little bit of yarn from them, but when I get it, generally it's in a big bag of cocoons, and the cocoons.
Okay, so then you do the spinning of it.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I'm adding it to fibers that I'm carding.
Oh, I see. Okay.
To create spinning, blends of spinning fiber.
Oh, okay.
I do a little bit. I'm not a very good spindle spinner. And silk is really strong.
Okay.
So even though it's not pretty, the spindle doesn't fall on the ground.
Oh, I see. Okay. So it helps with the rest of your spinning.
When I spindle spin, I'll often, pick up a couple of cocoons and kind of pull them out and spin. It's good practice.
Okay. Yeah, I know very little about spinning, and I'm not a knitter really myself. My mother used to knit quite well, and my aunt is an amazing knitter. My sister loves knitting. I never quite figured it out. I can't knit and not look at it. I have to pay attention. Not a great knitter, but I've always loved the idea of doing spinning, and I love the feel of wool a lot. And I know a lot of people are allergic to it. My sister is allergic to it. But I love all the processes. I love the smell of wool.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. I get wool from my neighbor across the street for doing my felting. And
wonderful.
And I wash it, and then I pick it, and then I card it, and then I felt it. And I like to call it crude felting because I'm sure it's not fully processed the way it should be. And there's little bits of vegetative matter in it still, which doesn't matter because I'm not wearing it. So,
right.
Anyway, I love the smell of it. I love every part of that process. It's super fun.
Yep, I do too. And there are so many different kinds of wool,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
So tell me
and
about, so you've got the Angora goats, but tell me about
right.
what else you've got that you sell.
As far as fiber goes.
Yeah.
So we had blue-faced Leicester sheep.
Okay.
It's the finest of the long wools. So
Okay.
so a strand would be maybe 8 inches.
Okay. That's
It's pretty
super
long
long.
once it's
Yeah.
spread and very curly.
Okay.
Um and so we raised those. We raised CVM,
CVM.
California variegated mutant,
Okay.
which is a colored. Oh, again, I'm going to get it wrong. I think it's a colored Rommeldale.
Okay. That's a type of sheep.
Um, and so they're like, I think of it as better than merino. It's a little
Okay.
bit, it's not quite as fine as merino, but it's also not as greasy as merino.
Okay.
So, we live in the desert, so we have to think about water. It doesn't take as much water or as much soap to clean it. And then
Okay. Okay.
we crossed those two breeds together.
Okay.
And it's one of my most favorite fibers. It has that long staple like the Blueface Leicester. It has still kind of Blueface Leicester has kind of individual locks, like
Okay.
not
Yeah.
dreadlocks, but kind of like that. So it still has kind of that definition of the locks.
Yeah.
But I find it to be softer. The crimp is a little bit looser.
So, and
And it makes this,
you still have some of that fiber even though you don't have the sheep
I
anymore.
I do. I've been hoarding it away and using it a little bit at a time.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
And so what else have you got there? What else are you selling?
Um, from the animals that I have, I'm selling wool and mohair.
Okay.
And then I do some plant fibers, so
Okay.
bamboo, commercial
Yeah.
fibers, bamboo and cotton.
And
And
so
I forgot, I grew cotton this
you grew
summer
cotton?
too.
That's
It,
super cool.
yeah, I don't know how many I planted. I think I got 4 plants.
Okay.
And I've just, I had to cut it because it was going to freeze before the bowls had opened up. But I hung it in a bathroom that we don't use. I forgot about it for a while and I went back and they were starting to open. And just a few days ago, I got to pluck the first cotton
That's
out of
exciting.
my bowl. It was so cool. I mean, I just want enough to and I am a reluctant knitter too. I don't love to knit, but I want to knit like this little tiny, I don't know what from the
Something
cotton.
out of your first cotton ball.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's another plant that I'll grow more of next year. And cotton is interesting. There are probably half of the states in the US, it's illegal to grow cotton.
Really? How come?
So because of the boll weevil.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a pest, and it could eradicate the
The crops.
cotton industry. Yeah, so you have to be so careful about that.
Okay.
Mostly in the South and California, but in Colorado we can grow it. And so I
Okay.
grew this little patch. And you can grow it in natural colors. So you can grow it in green and
Nice.
brown.
Yeah,
And yeah.
I didn't know that cotton came in natural colors.
Yeah.
For some reason I've only seen it in white and thought cotton balls were only ever white, but then yeah, found out that they come in other colors. But yeah, so they come in green and brown, right?
Well, my guess is that, like sheep for so long, that white was the desirable. And so they just, they plucked it out and were very careful not to let that, cross pollinate and, for so long,
Right.
that was it. And then like with, the different colors of sheep, we decided, oh, well, that might be desirable too. And so
So yeah,
And
now they're
so,
doing these other
so
colors.
now they're doing these other things.
So
Yeah.
that's so cool. So you'll have cotton that you're hoping to be able to
I
harvest.
will have cotton. In the meantime, I do purchase some commercial cotton and have
And
been
you
doing.
purchase just the bowls and then you do the processing?
I purchase it in roving.
You purchase it okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep.
And same with the bamboo, you do that, like, is that rovings?
Yep. I purchase it as
Oh,
roving.
cool.
It kind of plant fibers go through when you do botanical dyeing, you have to treat the fibers with a mordant that prepares the fiber to accept the dye.
Yeah.
With plant dyes, you have to treat them with something that accepts the mordant that then accepts the dye.
Right, right.
So it's one extra process, and I'm doing some bamboo over the last couple of days. It doesn't look like roving anymore in my pot, because I've
Right. It's just all mixed up.
stirred it up and all that. But I'm going to card it, so it's okay.
Right. So it'll come back together.
Yeah.
And so when you're dealing with commercial, how much research are you doing around who's producing and supplying you at that? Do you have criteria that you're looking for?
Enough that I can live with myself.
Okay. That's fine. I didn't know. Yeah, I was wondering if you are specifically looking for the GOTS certification on it, if you're looking for organic, if you're looking for any kind of other standards or certifications, or you're just trying to find something that seems like it's ethically produced in some way.
I do look for those things.
Yeah.
I do sometimes purchase when I don't. So, and I'm really, I think it's so important to be upfront. Whatever you do,
Sure.
I just think that's important. So people can ask me, and I'm happy, to tell them where those things, where I get them from.
Yeah.
I'm usually asking those suppliers where they get them from.
Yeah.
But I am making more and more of an effort to make decisions about that. I did a botanical dye subscription box last year.
Okay.
And one of those boxes was only farm grown fibers.
Okay.
So friends that I know or fibers of my own. This year, my goal is to have not exclusively, but to have farm grown fibers in every one of those 4 season boxes.
Nice. Yeah.
And I belong to it's a Facebook community. But I have lots of friends who grow, lots of different fibers. And so I'm sourcing, it's expensive. It's, 2 or 3 times as expensive.
Sure. And that's part of your criteria as well, right? Is what you can reasonably afford to do what you need to do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then that my customers will purchase. But I really think a part of that is educating people.
Sure.
It's just like any piece of sustainability.
Yeah.
We have to create a market for that. And we have to share why that's so important.
Yeah.
And
why it matters. Yeah.
And how we can create a bigger market for that.
Yeah.
So that, there are still lots of places, in this country where sheep farmers are burning their wool or burying their wool.
Right.
Because
they can't sell it.
They can't.
Yeah.
It's just, it's awful.
Yeah.
And so we, in our little and big ways, try to create a market for those things and educate people because, wool is such a wonderful fiber. It's
it's so amazing. Yep.
It's warm when it's wet. It's all, all of those kinds of things. But people have to know that.
Yeah. Well, my neighbor who has his sheep, he raises his sheep for meat. They're not,
meat. Yep.
They are Rito Arcots. They are not at all fiber. Really, they're not known for their fiber at all. They're very short staple and, great for felting, really great for felting, but I don't think he'd be able to spin with it particularly. Sure. But he sometimes can't sell it. Like he can't get anything for it. So he's happy to give it to me.
Right.
Or I pay him $5 a fleece, it's not expensive.
Yeah.
And then I process it. So yeah, he struggles with trying to even get rid of it. So often he will just bury it.
Yeah. I think that it's it's such a shame. And
Yeah.
I see that there is there are some companies that are doing insulation with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There are some, if you look and look, you can find, truly wool there are lots of different things. And I use, very little gets wasted on the farm.
Right.
So, if something happens to a fleece or I get in there and it's just, just not worth, I'm mulching with that.
Yeah. You put it in your garden?
I do. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
That
does it
matter
ever,
bed, I tuck that matter bed in every year with a big fleece.
okay. And do you use it so that you actually like incorporate it into the soil, or you just take it off every year?
I take it off.
Okay.
It takes a really long time to break down.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Yeah.
But I kind of pile up in the corner along the fence, and then the next year I go and often I can use that same fleece.
Okay. And just drag it back in.
And I'll use it around. We planted some trees this year. It's a great way to kind of keep that moisture in a dry place.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Creative ways of using it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a really hard time throwing it away.
Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, even when I go through the stuff that I've gotten from my neighbor, a lot of it is not really usable. And I don't really know what to do with that stuff. So I have a big compost pile of it and I haven't figured out what to do with it. Someday I'll figure it out. Tell me a little bit about your rabbits. The rabbit. No, I know you don't have, but you get rabbit hair in, right?
Oh, I do. I do have Angora.
Yeah.
Yep. I source from a couple of friends that are a part of that Fibre group for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Angora was new for me in the last maybe couple of years. It's fun. It's just decadent.
Yeah. Really super soft, right? You can hardly even feel it.
Soft and slick. And it's, I open the bag and it's everywhere.
That's awesome.
And it dyes more pastel, particularly, the white. It's so vibrant white when it's clean.
Right.
It dyes more of a pastel. It kind of
interesting. It doesn't take the color in a full way.
Yeah, I'm sure it has, something to do with the way the light touch, but it does it. I love the botanical dyes on it. It's nice. It's just kind of a softer color on a softer fiber. Yep. So, and I love blending it. It's fun to blend.
Oh yeah. So tell me a little bit about like what made you want to start doing all of this?
I lost my job.
Okay. Necessity is one thing.
Right. Well, and we've lived here for about a dozen years. We had dairy goats first. And when I lost my job, I was, the first thing I did value added for the farm was make goat milk soap. Okay. And so I was selling at a farmer's market when I lost my job. So I ramped that up, and then I had lots of wholesale accounts and all that. And we added lotion and then I lost my job, and I just, I just didn't know what I was going to do. And I was standing at the table making a batch of rosemary mint shampoo bar.
Okay.
And I thought, maybe I can save the world one shampoo bar at a time.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, and I know we're not talking about soap and lotion, but the great thing about that is that there's, it is a shampoo and there's no bottle, there's no package,
it's packaging free, it's plastic free. Zero waste really is what it ends up being, right?
It's just a bar of soap. So most of what I was doing were those bath and body kinds of things, and things. And at that point, we were milking probably 5 gallons in the morning and 5 gallons at night. We didn't have that many goats, but it's still.
That still seems like a lot to me.
We had a teenager and we still couldn't.
What would I do with 5 gallons of milk, 10 gallons of milk a day?
10 gallons of milk a day.
And then you have another 10 gallons the next day.
Right. Yeah. So it was survival, and I made a lot of soap. And then, and was doing some fiber things. We had sheep by then. We started with Navajo churros. I spent a little bit of time with Shetlands. We had alpacas, both Wakaya and Surrey for a while. So we've had a variety of fiber animals on the farm. And then when the lockdown happened around the pandemic, there was a woman in Michigan, Ellen, who created this Facebook group for specifically because fiber artists we had lost all of our shows.
Right. And so you were making soap and you were doing this other stuff on the side, or like
I was doing the other
you were
stuff
always
on the
doing
side.
textiles anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And I would, yarn is a hard sell in the summer at a farmer's market, but I would take it anyway.
Okay.
and because I'm kind of an introvert and a little awkward, I would take my spinning wheel and that would start a conversation there in the booth. And I would put a sign up that said, "What's on the wheel today?" And I would have a picture of that animal,
Oh, nice.
So, so it helped me kind of talk to those people that were in my booth.
Yeah.
So yes, I was doing that and I had some things on the website, but it wasn't really the main part of my business. And then Ellen created this group, I think it was April that year, and I came on in June. And so they do a live festival the last weekend of every month, and we apply, vendors apply. And if you're accepted, you get a 30-minute slot. You go live on your own Facebook page. And then the admins link it over to their business page. So you could sit on their business page and watch all day long, and it would just, go from one vendor to the next. And it's
cool.
3 days every once a month.
Okay. That's really cool.
It's been wonderful. I mean, I love it that I am, it kicked my fiber business into the next place.
Right.
And made it the majority of what I do. I think I make soap quarterly now. But it's also a community. So it's this really wonderful place where you can ask a question or share, or I've been posting, all the stuff I've been doing with my garden things, so it's been really fun to get people excited about things. So it changed the way I do business, and I just love it.
And so what makes you want to do, like, where does the idea of doing things that are helping you save the planet, why do you want to do that?
Well, I think both my parents grew up on farms.
Mm-hmm.
We recycled when I was a little kid, before that was a thing.
Right.
There's only one place in Colorado, so we would save up for 6 months. We would pack up the station wagon and drive to Boulder where
Okay.
So, my mom always composted. She had half of the yard was a garden.
Right.
So, so I grew up, that was my model.
Yeah.
And boy, there's just, for me, there's just nothing about sticking my hands in the dirt. I really love
really
that.
love that part. Yeah.
I didn't grow up with lots of animals, so that was something new for me, but I love the animals. There's kind of a cycle about that, with the land, every part of
connection to the land again. Yeah.
Right. And our land isn't in great shape, but we're working on some reparations around that.
Nice.
We just have terrible wind and the erosion is awful.
Okay.
So I think.
And was it crops before? Like, were there crops on that land? Is it a fertile land or not really?
It was a horse boarding facility.
Okay.
And it was way overgrazed.
Okay.
When we got here, enough that we have some probably native grass out there, but it doesn't really come up very well. And it's, what there is, I don't think there's much nutrition in it, and we don't have water.
Right.
We have city water into the house, but it would
You don't
be,
have a pond or
or
water.
a well or anything like that. And it would
Right,
be crazy to try to irrigate with city water.
right. Right. You should have to pay
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we can have to hope it rains and do other kinds of things,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Are you doing like water rain collection and that kind of stuff? Do you get a lot of rain?
We don't get a lot of rain.
Okay.
And it wasn't until fairly recently that you could even collect rain in Colorado.
You weren't allowed to collect rain?
No, it was against, it was against the law to have a rain in a
Really?
barrel. Yeah, because it wasn't your water.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I can't, that doesn't quite,
Right.
I
I
don't
know.
understand the logic behind that.
I know.
But you're allowed to now? That's
You,
changed?
you are allowed. Yeah, you can have a
Okay.
rain barrel now.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Yep.
Wow, that's wild. Yeah, really different. It's amazing how different some regulations and policies are in different regions. Um, I want to thank you so much for talking to me about all of this. Like, I think I could probably talk to you for about another 3 hours. Because I don't feel like we talked about all of the things that I'd wanted to talk about, but you have such a fascinating farm that I wanted to know all of those details.
Yeah.
Um, and I really also I wanted to share what it can be like on a small scale, producing fibers and doing things that are, you have a small business and that's great, but you wouldn't have to have a small business to be able to do a lot of the things you're doing.
Right.
That it can be done, that like you said, you when you had your goats, you kind of got over your milking goats. You got overwhelmed with what to do with that much, but you don't have to have that many goats for a small hobby situation, right?
No, we have four little tiny goats right now. They're Nigerian dwarf goats, so they're tiny.
Nice.
And I put enough, they raise their own kids, and then I freeze enough. I have a big freezer, and I freeze enough to make milk, to make soap and lotion for the rest of the year.
Perfect.
4 tiny goats.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you can do it on a tiny scale.
Yeah. I think that's so cool. And just to also be able to know that there's people out there in the world doing those kinds of things,
Yes.
so that people can support you doing those kinds of things. And they know they're putting good into the world by supporting you.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's good. I think it's an important part of what we can call sustainability. And I've been talking to a lot of different people lately about, like, why, first of all, why textile artists should care. Why should they care about being sustainable in what they're doing? And I think the obvious answer is that the climate issues that we're seeing going on, the toxicity that it puts into the world. But even like you said, the farm the land that you got before was not being managed sustainably, and
Right.
it you are still recovering from that. And
Yes.
those are reasons to be supporting people who are doing sustainable things, because it is rejuvenating land and it is allowing things to be able to grow in a better way and supply needs that we have. Yeah, I think that there's lots of different reasons why people might want to care, and also trying to think of ways that are accessible to people to make changes in what they're doing, because not everybody is going to start a small business like yourself
Right.
and go to that same length of putting a dye garden in and go to the same, or have the kind of business that I have. They're not going to necessarily start a podcast,
Right.
It's not going to happen for everybody. But, knowing that they could support you and have that make a difference is also as important, if not one of the most important parts of having these sustainable circular businesses that we want to have. We still need people to support what we're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, I think what you're doing is great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking to me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So tell me how people can get in touch with you if they want to support you.
You bet. Probably the easiest way is to follow me on social media.
Yeah.
So on Instagram, the fiber things are at timberandtwine.co. The farm things are at Small Acre Farm. And same tags with Facebook.
Okay.
And then
I'll put those into the show notes as well, so people can access them.
And
Yeah.
then The website is smallacrefarm.com.
Amazing. Amazing. I definitely follow you. I love seeing what you're doing.
Oh, good.
I just loved this conversation so much with TeDi. It jumps into all the different areas of sustainability and, she's exploring and experimenting with all of the different parts, from growing some of the plants, doing some of the dyeing, connecting with the animals, doing things with the milks and as well as the fibers themselves, and doing some spinning, doing some weaving, doing some knitting, doing all kinds of different things, and connecting with community in such a great way as well. She's got a really great community behind her where she does teaching and has just this group of people who are able to have conversations around the fibers. And it's just a really great all-round life that she's living, and I find it really inspiring, and I hope you do too. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Shoot me an email. I'd love to hear what you think. If you're interested in a community that engages with sustainability in quilting and textiles, you can join the Learning Hub at BridgetO'Flaherty.com. There you will find memberships, online courses, supplies, and resources for sustainability and my textile art. You can also book me to speak with or teach your group. You can find me on social media at The Sustainable Quilter. Don't forget to comment, like, and share, and to follow me on your favorite podcast app so you won't miss an episode. Thanks for joining me, and I'm so excited to share this journey with you. Until next time, happy stitching.